a lot has happened in those 1,000 days, and I realize that for all of that, I am unbelievably fortunate. And that's what gives me comfort. So now that I'm a few years out, I would argue that there are certain lessons that really can't be truly meaningful until you've survived something. Welcome to This Life Reconsidered, and my name is Jenina. So, I got to looking at the calendar and saw that I was well over or past 1,000 days since the stroke happened. And that was the moment that I considered that my life was completely altered. And even though at the moment when it happened, it was very, very devastating, I still would also contend that it was eye-opening in lots of different ways that has empowered and strengthened me. But I also got to thinking that there were some really major takeaways and lessons you can learn from each and every experience you live if you choose to learn from it. The reality is that we go through a lot of very difficult things, and we go to things that seem to consume us in the moment, but we have the choice to either embrace the experience for what it is and grow from it and learn, or just to really just kind of dismiss it and not take the opportunity as a teaching moment. So as opposed to just kind of dismissing the moments that we live, let's use that kind of insight or that kind of milestone and give it an opportunity to teach us something that will allow us to be better versions of ourselves. The reality is that going through the experience and the moments that I went through and thinking about the recovery journey, it's amazing the things that only truly become crystal clear when it is that you've lived through a certain kind of experience. It doesn't mean that you didn't know this kind of logic before, but it just takes something really dramatic and drastic to happen to really allow you to kind of transform and become a stronger or better version of yourself. I took a lot of things for granted after the stroke had happened, but now, being this time past all of that experience, I find myself really empowered by everything that I've learned, and realizing that it gives me an opportunity to try to approach life through a very kind of much more intentional and deliberate point of view. Because the reality is that now that I've survived all that stuff, my job is to use that information and let it empower and embolden me. That said, sometimes you don't necessarily have to live an experience as dramatic, but I'd like to consider the experience as an opportunity to provide a little bit of support. I don't profess to be all-knowing, but I'd like to think that coming out on the other side has given me an opportunity to hopefully be a little wiser and a little stronger, and something that I feel was a gift that I was personally given. That all said, this is really definitely very, very specific and personal to the survival of a stroke, but I think could be broadly applicable if you feel like you're kind of weathering a certain kind of journey and are struggling or at a standpoint and aren't sure kind of what your takeaways and what your learnings are, or if you should be growing or learning from a certain type of experience. Any which way, I leave you with those words to consider, and hopefully look forward to seeing you at the next one.